up, everyone? It's your boy, the Reverend of the Revolution, welcoming you to another edition of your Daily Revolution, the podcast and movement that helps you to wake up, turn your brain on, and to prosper every single day in every part of your life. Today's topic, principle number 11, human capital produces financial capital. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I had someone message me the other day. I said, Timma, what does this principle mean? What are you talking about, human capital? Well, let me explain. But before I explain, let me just back up. The reason I started this podcast is I had a message inside of me. I have a message inside of me that I want to proclaim. And the message is this: you can truly do what you want to do. You can create what you want to create if you'll simply hone in on your capitals. So what does this mean? Well, it brings me to principle number 11. Human capital produces financial capital. This came about in 2009 after I'd lost everything, sold my Super Bowl ring, was on EBT, and was struggling to just put money in the bank, food on the table after I had had years of total abundance. So now I'm starting to figure out, everyone says it takes money to make money. Is that true? And I'm here to tell you it does not take money to make money. Oh, it absolutely helps, and it can accelerate. So then the real question would be, well, if it takes money to accelerate making money, how do I get more money? Or what I call financial capital. Well, there's these 4 other capitals that produce financial capital. And if you're a big businessman, you already get this principle. You already live it. If you're kind of a newbie, a rookie, a beginner, and you've always wondered, how do I use my gifts and talents to create value? Because principle number 8, dollars follow value. Then this is going to be for you. So take these capitals, right? There's 4 capitals that produce financial capital. And if you have these 4 capitals in place and you're using and utilizing these 4 capitals, well, what's going to end up happening is you're going to produce financial capital. And when you get really good at these 4 capitals, you'll become really good at producing financial capital. So it goes like this. Capital number 1, social capital. And again, these are in no particular order, but I'll just say for today's sake, capital number 1 is your social capital. And by social capital, I mean your network. Who knows you? Who do you know? David Bradford, highly successful entrepreneur, author, business owner, entrepreneur, the whole 9, husband, father, grandfather. He said, Satema, there's 2 things that I would say have made me successful. Of course, I listen up, and he says, number 1, connecting with people. And I'm like, that's an interesting one. He says, yeah, Satema, you just got to network with people. You've got to be able to make the connections because people matter. People are assets. Of course, this leads me into my principles, which is, people matter. People are assets, and every dollar of income I receive comes from someone else's bank account. So I've got to find a way to create value. And part of creating value is just simply connecting. See, when you want to build a big business, by big business, I mean thousands of employees, you're going to lean on your people. It is critical that you have people in your life that can support you, that you can support, that can connect you and help you to connect with others, and that you can help connect to others. Your network matters. It's an old phrase that says your net worth is in direct correlation to your net worth, or your net worth is in direct connection to your network. So who do you know? And I've had more money come to my account simply by knowing people, being connected to people. Facebook, Twitter, all the social media channels make this really possible and really fun. So the real question is, what's your social capital like today? Are you connected to great people? Are you a connector? Are you a leader? Do people look up to you and respect you for being an expert in your field? Or are you just a loner who has a bunch of really cool ideas but can't figure out why you can't put those ideas into money? So the first capital is social capital. This is why people say, well, I just don't like people. Well, you better figure out how to serve people without liking them, because if you don't like them, that's okay. But you do need to learn how to connect and lean on people and build a solid network of people and connections. Same thing goes in college football. Today, my boy gets hired as the head coach of BYU football, Kalani Sitake. And what happens, everyone knows he's going to bring in his coaches. I mean, at that level, it's really about who you know. Yeah, true, what you know is important. But at that level, like, it's all about the connection. So social capital. Are you building your social capital? Are you building your networks? And again, you don't have to be friends with people. You just got to be someone who's powerful, who can serve, who can contribute, who can make a difference. So number one, social capital. Number two, mental/intellectual capital. What is this? This means all the intellectual property, the ideas, the things that you study, the things you study, the things you listen to, like this podcast, the books you read, the seminars you attend, school that you go to, life experience. It gives you like certain amounts of skill and mindsets, skill sets, mindsets. But when I talk about mental and intellectual capital, I'm really talking about just your thought process, your ideas, how you see the world. So consider this for a moment. Social capital, the people you're connected to. Mental capital, all your ideas and thoughts and how you see things and how you process things. You can become really good at connecting people and collecting from people if you can do those two things properly. Third capital is simply your spiritual capital. I call it spiritual capital. And what I mean by spiritual capital is simply your innate divine gifts, your talents. I speak often of Michael Jordan because I grew up in high school watching Jordan. Jordan was not very good at baseball, but basketball, absolutely his thing. So he had part of his spiritual capital was playing basketball. And every one of us has divine gifts. I just shot a podcast about this a couple episodes ago, talking about gifts. You have spiritual assets, your natural abilities, your divine gifts. You have these things. Have you learned to use them? Have you discovered them? And have you honed in and created power with your divine gifts? For me, music. Music's one of my gifts. I can pick up the guitar, hear songs, I hear chords. I learned how to play the piano in my late 20s. I was a gospel pianist for a gospel choir. I've done luau's with drums and guitar. I was in a band for 7 years. Leadership, a natural gift. Right? So I can command the room. I can take charge easily. And I'm also a good follower too, right? In order to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower. Learn how to follow and make you a better leader. Speaking, I've got a gift to speak. This is why I do the podcast. This is why I get up on stages and speak and inspire and motivate, drive, encourage, and love and exhort. What are your gifts? What is your spiritual capital? Now, consider this. Spiritual capital, mental capital, social capital. You look at someone like Bill Gates. If you ever read anything about Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates, he had mental capital and he had spiritual capital. Like, he just had a knack for these things. The natural desires of his heart was all around computers. The social capital is what allowed him to connect with Warren Buffett, and bam, one of the richest men in the world, constantly giving back to charities. This guy's a baller. Jobs and Kobe. I mean, I'm going from the late Jobs to Bill Gates to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, spiritual capital, basketball. Stone cold killer instincts to win. Social capital, the NBA, reaching out to the greats, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, some of the great players before his time. Intellectual capital, he's already got ideas to build Kobe, his brand, his business, to do what he was meant to do post-basketball. And I could name person after person who's got all these capital. Now, the final capital is this. Probably my favorite. It's action capital. Action capital. Action, action, action capital. Yes, my friends, you actually got to take action. People try to use the law of attraction and positive thinking. Hey, those are nice. But until you put action into the mix, you get nothing. Action capital is doing what's required. Action capital is doing what you said you would do. Action capital is acting decisively in spite of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and moods. Action capital trumps everything else because imperfect action gets the ball moving. If you have an idea to write a book, well, let me overanalyze and let me think about it. What's there to think about? If you say you want something, quit screwing around. Right, quit dilly-dallying and being all, just do the action capital, which is what? Take action. Even in the most simplest forms of imperfect action. So action capital, spiritual capital, mental/intellectual capital, and social capital. You put these 4 capitals together, you can make money. I'll leave you with the story. When I came home from the NFL, I was broke. Right, so I spent a year doing nothing, pretty much kind of like wasting time, wasting money, and wasting my life away, just hanging out, scraping by. Then in 2004, I said, I'm going to make a difference. I'm done. I'm going to do something with my life. So social capital allowed me to find my buddy who was doing mortgages. He connects me to the big man, the boss of the company, gives me a shot at being a mortgage guy, a loan officer. Mental capital allowed me to take everything that I did from football and said, I'm going to apply it in the mortgage industry. I took my thought processes, my experience, and I put it to work. I put my mind to work. Spiritual capital, well, I'm a people person. I love people and I love to serve, and I like customer service. I can pour the schmooze on, and you know what I'm talking about. Because I love people. I naturally love people. Action capital, massive action. That first year, crushed it. Right? Crushed it in the business. In a big old company, I was the top first-year loan officer that year. And I was like third amongst all the big boys, the guys who had been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years. Why? Tapped into my social capital. Social capital allowed me to get referrals and connect with people who needed my service. My mental intellectual capital allowed me to utilize my thought processes and books that I'd read and all my ideas to just get better at business. My spiritual capital, well, this was my divine gifts, what I'm naturally good at. So using my skills, tapping into what I'm best at, and this was there was no social media back then, so it's not like we were using Facebook. I was out just hustling and networking and building my business. And then action capital, I worked tirelessly. I hustled. I did what was required. Same thing that happened when I lost everything back, a couple years ago. Well, 6, 7 years ago. Same principle. Social capital allows me to get recruited into the door knocking company, and right, they liked me for who I was and my potential. Spiritual capital, dude, I'm a hustler, I'm a grinder, I'm a salesman. Naturally, I got the gift of the gab, and I get it. Intellectual capital did the same thing. Back was against the wall, burned my ships, time to go to war, time to get to work, time to go sell accounts on the doors, door to door, knocking 6 days a week, grinding and hustling. Action capital fueled everything. I told my mentor, tell me what to do. He said, do this. And I said, I'll do it. And I did it. I took action. And 6 years later, 5 years later, here we are, living in beautiful, sunny Southern California, loving where we live, loving what I do for a living, loving the people that I serve, and helping people to get really awesome results. So, social capital, intellectual capital, which is also mental capital, same thing, spiritual capital, and action capital. All those things produce financial capital, aka money in your bank account. That's it, my brothers and sisters. Really simple. This is your boy, Satem Mangala, reminding you. And before I go into the outro, listen, what do you need to do today with this episode? What can you do with your social capital? Who do you need to start connecting with and creating value for? What spiritual gifts are you not using yet? What books and audios can you listen to and learn from so you can cement and burn these into your mind, these systems and processes? And finally, action capital. You can never run out of this capital. This is the fuel of everything. Action, action, action. This is your boy, Satem Mangala, reminding you if you're going to create a life of real radical results, a life that you love, it's going to require you to get into a relentless pursuit with a ruthless commitment to pay the piper every single day so you can get to the top of your mountains where your prize, promised lands, and possibilities are waiting, just waiting for you. The revolution has begun. Yes, it has begun. Will you join me? I'm out. For more info on joining the revolution and living your greatest life of prosperity today, go to www.yourdailyrevolution.com and join us in waking up, turning your brain on, and prospering today.